Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Gunnar Corner. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about Aaron Ramsey's contract situation. Multiple media outlets report that the ongoing negotiations between the club and him have broken down, and Arsenal risk the possibility of losing him on a free transfer next summer. I'm usually cautious with rumors, however, multiple reliable sources seem to confirm this. Therefore, we got to talk about the possibility of this actually happening. So the biggest dispute right now seems to be over his wage demands, or that was the case until the negotiations were going on. Currently, he earns £110,000 a week, and reportedly he wanted to double that, so he wanted $220 a week. The club's reluctance to pay that kind of money is understandable and confusing at the same time, but this is what I'm trying to break down here. In most situations, people tend to focus on transfer fees when we're talking about the biggest expenses of a club. And it's kind of true because these days you have to pay 50, 60, 100 million euros or pounds or dollars or whatever the case may be to sign a player. What most people forget is the wage structure that's also in place at every club. During the Arsene Wenger years, he kept emphasizing the importance of smart economics at the club. It wasn't just about signing players and trying to sign players for the right amount of money. It was also the salary structure that was in place at the club. So there was a certain ceiling, and not even the best performers could get more than that. Wenger only broke his policy in his final year, which was last year, in order to extend Mesut Ozil's contract and actually give him £350,000 a week in order for him to stay. Now, other players are demanding more as well. When we had a hard cap around 300k, nobody could earn more. In the current situation, Aaron Ramsey might be asking for £175,000 to £200,000 a week. But because this cap has been lifted a little bit, now he's asking for $220. It doesn't seem like a huge difference, but we're talking about weekly salaries, and those tens of thousands add up. And by the end of the year, it can make a difference of $1 million to $2 million. Other contracts will be expiring in the near future as well, and then those players are going to use Ramsey's new salary as a benchmark, asking for more. Obviously, they would be asking for more in general, but now they're going to push their demands even further, another 10k, another 50k, another 100k, depending on their position and importance in the squad. And while I'm talking about contract renewals and expiring contracts a lot, and how a changing salary structure has a great impact on what happens and how this situation can escalate with higher wages, let's not forget about new players and bringing in new players. Once again, the focus is usually on the transfer fee, but that's toward the other club. Then Arsenal still have to agree personal terms with any new player. And when someone new is coming in, they're going to look at the highest paid players first as a reference point and try to figure out where they fit in the whole system. Once again, with that reference point rising, they're going to ask for more. This starts a bit of a domino effect. So the club has to be smart enough to know where to draw a line. And in this day and age of escalating market prices in the football world, this is one of the biggest challenges managements face all over the world. So what we really have to look at it here, whether he's worth the money he's asking for or not. And this is also tricky because we have an objective and a subjective approach to this. Objectively, you look at his performances, what he has done, how the market values him, and you might say that 220k is a bit of a steep demand on his part. And I would agree with you. However, you also have to look at the subjective approach here, which is Arsenal's very own approach, looking at the squad they have, looking at the talent, the options to replace him, and looking at the market price of similarly skilled, talented midfielders right now. And then you soon realize that in this subjective approach, he is actually worth 220k a week, I believe, because replacing him with a similarly skilled player will cost even more. Unless, of course, Arsenal wants to get a talented young kid to replace him and try to solve it with current squad players, but then they might risk losing quality in the short term. So what's going to happen now, you may ask? It's very problematic because we're talking about a talented, skilled player who's valued highly by the market. But because he's in the last year of his contract, the club can either make a deal in January, which is extremely difficult and usually the prices are diluted, or he's going to leave on a free transfer in the summer because as of July 1st, 2019, he's going to be a free agent. He can sign with any club in the world. To make matters even more complicated, in the January transfer window, he'll have the opportunity to sign a pre-agreement with any club outside of England. In case Emery or the club have no future plans with Ramsey, then we should really sell his contract, but preferably not to a direct rival like Liverpool or Chelsea, Manchester United, which make things even trickier. It is reported that there are teams interested from Italy like Juventus, Milan, or Lazio, but they might just wait until the summer to get him on a free transfer. So while it seems like an isolated situation and decision to be made, it's actually a lot more complicated because it's part of a bigger, more complex system. On top of that, Ramsey and his agent started these negotiations with a different CEO and a different manager. Now we have a director of football, now we have a new head coach in place. So they might want to set a new standard of how they would like to do things, how would they like to do business. Unfortunately for Ramsey, he's kind of the guinea pig in this situation. And of course, all sides are trying to protect their interest. So for these reasons, it's not just your usual transfer saga, but I sense that this might go on a little longer. I mean, for the next 3 months, there's multiple games to be played. He cannot be approached by other clubs officially, so it's going to be interesting to see what the relationship will be between him and the coach, how he's willing to perform, how many minutes he's going to get. Again, this could still develop as we go ahead. What's your take on this? Would you keep Ramsey at all costs? Would you try to make a deal in January? Or you're happy with him leaving on a free in the summer? Let me know in the comments section. Thanks for listening. This was the business edition of Gunnar Corner for today. See you in the next one.